Good afternoon. Welcome to QuantumDynamX. We had a special treat today. I've been working on a project that was inspired by a friend of mine, Jeff, who's been an amazing best friend, but he has a knack of being able to point me in the right direction of crazy things. One time we were working together and we were both working in this new AI company trying to figure things out. He came from founding a company and doing enterprise software, so he really knew his business. I came from vibe coding and user experience and learning how to use cursor and doing crazy things. So it was early on days and we were trying to figure out how to teach people how to use Lovable. So he asked me in a prompt, you need to figure out how we do Lovable training. So to me, I said, wow, that's great. I figured it was a good opportunity to make a training site in Lovable. So I started working with Lovable and Cursor, and I had Cursor actually write the prompts, and then I'd feed the Cursor prompts. Actually, it was Claude Code, sorry. At the time, Claude Code would actually write the scripts, and then we'd do sequential prompts inside of Lovable. And in less than a day, we had a complete learning management system. So for him to see that, I remember he asked me, hey, Stephen, don't you think you should come be your boss before you create the complete learning management systems? And for me, it was just, that's what you do. You can spin up an application every 24 hours. And I was just having fun and building it out. We had about 18 lessons. We had gamification. We had everything. But the problem was facing him was like, now we had this piece of software. It would take him 8 weeks to review it. And so we moved the logjam. We moved the choke point, or the constraint, from creating software to evaluating software. And his challenge was one word, vibe review. And so we did. And that's where we actually got, I don't know if I have the Agent Academy. Anyway, you've seen the, let's go to render. There's the render dashboard. Okay, so we created the concept of vibe review, which now lives in, there's my projects. Oh, come on, let's get to the dashboard. Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. Let's go to it. I might have to cut that part out. I have no idea what I just said. Okay, so here is the new As the Cloud Turns, where we have all our different agents. I always work with agents in my work, and Thomas was one of the first agents that we initialized. Thomas was my testing agent. He's in my Claude Code. And basically I work with, it turns now they call it the Ralph Northern loop or whatever, that character. But every time you're working in like these cursor things, they would get off track and they would try to do too much at one time. So the trick was to tell them to do micro task. And so you spend a lot of time in your planning document, your PRD, your planning mode. And then what I would tell Thomas, I would tell Cursor, I want you to write this into an actual activation plan. And we had basically our PRD, and then we had the vibe review specification document. So as we were writing each feature, we wrote a test plan in the vibe review document. So then I would have the plan written, and every task had to take, at the time I said, less than 10 minutes to complete, because AIs don't really keep track of time. They finish in 30 seconds. But the point was that you wanted to break down a long running, instead of on a single shot, you wanted to force them to break it down into small manageable chunks. And then after each chunk, Thomas had to verify that test. If that test did not pass, it would go back to Spec, the coder, and Spec would try again. When it passed, Thomas would hand that off to Typewrite. Typewrite would document that as complete, document the code carefully, and then Spec would pick randomly the next task from the task list. Usually it was sequential because we had ours numbered, and they would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what happens is you get a verification loop, and you get much higher levels of completion than trying to do anything one shot. So what we did next was we came up with...
Greetings, Seeker. I am Sam, orchestrator of the QuantumDynamX Academy. Feel free to wander around the campus.
Okay, Sam. So I need to redo a little bit of the... we'll put quantum dynamics in here. So basically, Vibe Review is a panel of judges that will review this. This needs to work. So I have the Virgil, Velocity, Compass, Prism, Vault, Logic Gate, Beacon, Foundation, Clarity, Verdant, etc. So they're basically using LLM as a judge, but we've constructed this kind of sequence that you go through. So on this Add to Cloud Turn site, you can put in a URL. You can put in your GitHub if you really wanted to have code review. This is just kind of surface review. You can pick if you want it to be a dev, an MVP, a staging, or production. So that's the level of scores they have to reach. It checks a little more if you go high. But we'll begin the review. You know what I'm doing here is I'm testing first in this Atlas. And usually this is made for Chrome. So that's not going to work. Well, that's a bummer. I really need a bigger monitor too. And I don't think I need this stuff. I need to get rid of that. I'm just going to do dev review.